And the other thing about this platform is that it's designed to be very adaptable, like what the K-car platform was to
Yeah.
Chrysler in the 80s. Welcome back to Car-Pinionated, our weekly show on cars, the car industry, and driving in general. I'm Doug Stewart, digital executive producer for Fox 61 in Hartford, and this is my friend Glenn Packman. He is a great guy. He's a car enthusiast, and he has graced us with his presence this evening. Um, Glenn,
Yes.
so there was big doings at Ford this week.
Yes.
CEO Jim Farley made some announcements, but in the big picture, let's take a step back uh, and talk about the EV vehicle space. Okay, in the big picture, the electric car space is changing faster than you can say EV go. So Tesla sales are down quarter
Mhm.
to quarter, year to year, but sales for EVs in general grew like 1.5%, which isn't what it was growing, but it still has been growing.
Still
Obviously
growth. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And we'll see what happens after the federal rebates phase out. But in that space, it has had growth. Tesla has fallen behind Volkswagen in Europe as the leading maker of electric cars. Um, in California, they've been falling for 7 consecutive quarters, with a 20% drop in the last quarter alone, according to the California New Cars Dealers Association. So Tesla is trying to do things here, but I think you have kind of the point in time where there's a lot of stuff coming to the market
Right.
for the traditional uh, automakers. And then you have sort of your Lucids and your Rivians and whatever else that are still kind of trying to gain traction.
Right.
So the first thing I wanted to talk about was um, this Ford thing on Monday this week, and we're recording this on Friday the 15th. Um, on Monday, CEO of Ford, Jim Farley, went down to the Louisville plant, the Louisville assembly plant, and they took the time to talk about their new EV project, which they're sort of looking at as the next Model T moment. And what they talked about initially is, well, the first outcomes of this is going to be right at the sweet spot of the market, which is a $30,000 pickup truck. Um, they're also talking about making the manufacturing process, which to me seems like a high wire act, but it could pay off really big.
Yeah.
So, what are you thinking about what Ford announced this week?
Um, First off, I think it's great of them to capitalize on, I mean, for lack of a better term, the mayhem going on at Tesla. Um, it, it's an in for them, and it's smart for them to want to utilize that. That's just good business sense. And to sit back and go, oh well, we wish the best for everybody is just not how businesses are won and lost.
Right.
So that strikes me as smart right off the bat. Is like now is a good time for them to uh, flex some electric muscle, if you will. I frankly, I don't know if it's all smoke and mirrors, but I kind of like the idea that they are talking about changing the way that they look at building a car. Getting away from old school techniques and moving into some new one. Now, I don't know if there's any reality to this, but I like that they're thinking about it. We if anything shakes out of all of the tree shaking that's been going on, I sincerely hope that it's that we're going to look at new ways of doing things, not just in automobiles, but in politics and in society, in social media, all of it. I feel like a lot of people want to see some change going on. And this is a good way of looking at it. It's a good way of thinking. It's forward thinking as opposed to looking back. And I don't think anybody that's like, oh, we need to get back to fill in the blank is going to get anywhere in the 2030s. I just don't. Um, it's no time to be a stick in the mud. And that's saying a lot because I'm a man of a certain age, and half of my life is I remember when things were better, you
Man yells
know?
at clouds. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Yes.
So to that end, I applaud for it. I would love to see them actually succeed in doing this. And yeah, there is that sweet spot that you're talking about. If they can get a good vehicle out that's inexpensive and something that people just want to look at and drive, I just I feel like one of these things is going to connect. We talked a few weeks ago about Slate. And that's
Mhm.
another one that's looming in the background. That could be a big, big, big deal. Um, but more than anything else, to deny the fact that electric vehicles are becoming more important on a daily basis is to really just be sticking your head in the sand. It just, okay, as a country, we can go ahead and do that. It's not going to help us advance in the world, that's for sure. We're ignoring the new technology that the rest of the world is embracing. So if Americans don't want it, oh, okay. Well, we didn't want the metric system, and look what happened with that.
But
I'm
you also,
serious.
no,
You know?
you're right. You also cede that market to the Chinese. I
Right,
mean,
right,
there's no
exactly.
other way around it. That that research and progress and change is coming from somewhere,
Right,
right?
right.
And you have the government in China who is pushing that change, and you have
Mhm.
200 electric startups, and maybe you know, most of them are going to fall through. But you that if if you don't if you don't make if you don't put fertilizer on the ground in this country, you're
Mhm.
not going to get those things growing. And I give Ford a lot of credit. I mean,
Yeah,
part of this, I watched this whole thing and thought, like, did I get in a time machine and it's 3 years ago?
yeah,
Because
yeah,
they talked about $5 billion, a battery plant changes to an assembly plant that's been around for decades, and coming out with this rethinking of everything. So,
yeah.
a couple things about the manufacturing process, which I think just from a novice person like me sounds really great, is like they're talking about, make it easier, physically easier to build these cars so people don't have to go,
Mhm.
into cars like this. That it's more modular. So you have like maybe three different lines that come through and, start coming up in the main line, and like these modules come together.
Right,
Talking about
right.
reducing, thinking about how vehicles are put together. And you go back and
Mhm.
your RAV4 would have that windshield squeak, right?
Right,
And,
right.
and part of that has to do with how that dashboard was put into that car. All those
Absolutely.
pieces, right? And one thing goes wrong. One thing is, a hair off, and that's going to cause a problem for everyone.
Right.
But if they're rethinking how those things go together, how all those pieces come together,
Mhm.
that's really going to be very much kind of it really stands to do a whole new you know thing about how we're thinking. Like, you know, I look back at like Saturn,
Mhm.
and when Saturn was originally put together, right? They had a lot of different things about thinking about how those cars were put together,
Right,
right?
right.
I think you can talk about the failures of Saturn,
Mhm.
but I think they just didn't follow through. They kind of
Right.
kept going back to, you
Yep.
know, pull them back. And
Yep.
then
Yeah.
it was designed. I think the first Saturns were really actually handsome.
Yeah. I agree that the first two models were both very sharp cars. They sold well, they reviewed well. I mean, and I think you're right. I think they went, okay, so we made these waves, but now let's calm things down a little because
Yeah,
instead of just, proceeding forward, they went, oh, okay, so let's make it a normal car company now that we've
yeah.
established. And I'm like, and to this day, I still don't understand that. I mean, the other big thing is that the future Saturns after those first two that they put out, nothing captured the interest. They weren't good cars.
Car. It was a car. And they were out, they were Opals. A lot of
Yeah,
them were Opals.
yeah, yeah.
Fine, Opals, but they weren't that different thing.
Right.
But anyway, we're going to take a break right now, and we will come back and talk about more changes in the EV space. So, a couple things are kind of percolating that are going to cause the folks at Tesla agita.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you have uh, the Chevy Equinox,
Mm-hmm.
which is on the market, selling really good,
Mm-hmm.
under $40,000. It's got a tremendous value, for what people are looking for in that car. It's got a lot of space. It can carry four people,
Mm-hmm.
um, and so I think GM gets it.
Yep.
And the other thing, and I've said this before when we talked about it at GM understands how to build value into a car. I mean, you
Yes.
look at the tracks, you look at your car, you look
Mm-hmm.
at a lot of that stuff. It looks good. It's at a decent price,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
And it makes a good case for itself in the market. So
Right.
you have the Equinox, and you have the Nissan Leaf has been redesigned.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, One of the main things is it no longer looks as weird,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it has a useful charging port because
Yeah.
they had almost a proprietary charging
Well,
port before. Crazy, huh?
wow.
Um, you know,
Just as a very brief sidebar, Nissan, stop with the trying to design weird looking cars and thinking that people want to buy them. Don't do that anymore. Just me talking to Nissan directly.
yeah.
Don't do another cube ever, 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 ever. And the Leaf has always fallen into that category. I mean, great idea, but I every time I saw the first generation going down the road, I was like, wow, it looks like the love child of like a really cool electric vehicle and like an old Citroen from the 40s, maybe. I don't know what they were thinking. But anyways, I digress. Go ahead.
No, no, but you're right. And
Yeah,
and that was one of the first EVs, mass market EVs
right,
that was being
right,
sold. And they
right.
squandered that lead.
Yeah, yeah,
Squandered
absolutely.
it.
Right. So,
Far
well,
be it from
it-
us.
forgive me because Honda rarely makes a mistake like this, but their first, maybe it was an Insight, but it was like a Civic-sized thing, and it had the panels that covered the back wheels.
Yeah, it
I
was an insight. Yeah.
and it was
Yeah.
just wildly unattractive. And I was like,
Right.
and again, it was like we're making an electric vehicle. It needs to be weird for people. And I'm like, I
Right.
think we're hitting the day and age now where we don't want the electric vehicles to look and
And I don't think we ever wanted them to look.
no, 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 not at all. Not
I
at all.
think there's that consumer that's like, I don't care what it looks like.
Yeah,
Okay,
right,
well,
right.
you know,
But you don't want to create an eyesore either. I mean, at some point it's going to go, no, I'm not going to drive that.
yeah.
So
We've talked about the late Pontiac Le Mans in the
yeah,
80s,
yeah.
the really odd shaped one,
And it was a Le
which
Mans.
yeah,
I
you
think,
know the
oh
one I'm
God,
talking.
yeah. It was like
Okay,
it was from Korea, I think. It was
yes, it was.
an import.
It
Yeah,
was a Daewoo or
yeah,
whatever Suzuki
yeah,
or something,
yeah.
and my brother Dave and I were following one day, and this was in the first days of the the Chimsel center high mounted stoplight, and he puts on the brakes in front of us, and the dealer had put their sticker inside the light, so when the brake light came on, you saw the dealer's name.
That's
And we were just laughing and pointing.
yeah, yeah. That's
Anyway,
cheesy. That's very
but
cheesy.
but that's but
Either
that
way,
same sort of weirdness.
yeah,
But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So to go back to this pickup truck, they didn't show any pictures of it. They expect that this will come out starting in 2027, so two-ish years. Um, and and the other thing about this platform is that it's designed to be very adaptable, like what the K-car platform was to
yeah,
Chrysler in the 80s,
right.
which was underneath so many cars. I mean,
Hmm.
that's kind of what they're doing with this. Another analogy is the Fox body. The Fox, like,
Right.
think of all the cars that the Fox body was under, and this
Hmm.
is sort of the latter day EV version of that.
Sure,
And
sure.
if they do it right, it's really successful. You
Hmm.
know,
Yeah,
and and then you have Tesla, who's trying to regain something, some kind of mojo, and the Cybertruck uh, sold. Um, 4,300 Cybertrucks were sold in the second quarter. That's a 50% decline from a year earlier. It's sort of like these sales have fallen off a cliff.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I've mentioned it before. There are not very far from where my brother Dave lives in Colorado. There's a lot that has a lot of different models of Teslas, but primarily it's been Cybertrucks.
Yeah.
Um, the other factor, um, Tesla has made a lot of money over the years. It has propped up their bottom line in selling pollution clean air credits to other companies.
Right, right.
And they've made tons of money doing that.
Hmm.
And that kind of comes to an end with the changes in the government
Hmm.
regulations.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
it's a lot of different things. And the last thing is they're making a smaller, decontented version of the Model Y. That's what I keep seeing. It might be shorter, that doesn't have a glass roof. And can I say this about glass roofs? Why on EVs, especially EVs, is it more important to see up than out the back?
Right, right. I, yeah.
So,
Because I don't know. Because somebody thinks that's a good idea, you know.
right, right.
I,
What do you? Go ahead. Go ahead.
I, Tesla just there's some basic rules to being a successful automaker that Tesla just wants to ignore completely. And I think the biggest one is you got to keep people interested in your line. Some of these Teslas are what, a dozen years old at this point? I mean,
To let's say 2011, 2012.
yeah,
So going on
13 years.
13.
13 years. 13 years is an interminably long time to be selling the same new vehicle. Now, I know that they recently did a refresh on the Model Y. The headlight is different. I mean, I'm sure there's some other intrinsic differences, but it's still the same car. Okay. And I've said this in previous podcasts. You look at Honda, they don't keep anything for more than 4 years. Even
Yeah.
your CRV, terrific car, amazingly good selling car. They are everywhere on the road, and they still replaced it with something new. You know why?
Mhm,
Because they're constantly moving forward. And
mhm,
Tesla thinks we've already done the forward thinking. We're 100 years ahead of people. It's like, nope, no, you're right here and you're right now, except that your right now is already 13 years ago, you know?
mhm.
And that to me is their biggest flaw. I don't think they're attracting new buyers. Never mind all the other stuff that they're mired down in from a political point of view that I'm not
Right.
even going to go into. But I mean, that's affecting them. And they're just, I don't know what they're doing at Tesla to say, oh, well, we're just going to ride this out. No, 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 you're not.
No.
Not going to ride it out. So,
And there's a
um,
difference in being the like on different parts of the market curve, right?
right.
There's a difference of what you can do at the beginning of the product cycle or whatever you want to call. There's some economic terms. There's a difference in what you can do, but you have, and I think Honda is a great example. You have sort of this idea that, okay, we're going to start over and with a clean sheet design or a clean-ish sheet design, you
Hmm.
know, and does everyone do that? No, we can look at the Tacoma and the Forerunner,
Sure.
which just, were 15-year vehicles, 14, 15-year vehicles,
Right.
you
Right.
know, and so, I mean, but they got a lot of flack for that.
Yeah.
They certainly weren't consider, you go to the last generation Forerunner, certainly not considered a class leader in terms of ride, fuel economy, interior appointments, crash protection, and things like that.
Right.
Yeah, not
Right.
unsafe vehicles by any means. I don't mean to say that
No.
at all, but
No.
you had newer vehicles that changed and were updated.
Sure. Sure. And I
So,
mean, let's talk about it from a technological standpoint. What computer company is selling a computer brand new that they were selling 13 years ago new?
yeah, yeah,
Nobody. And
right.
to think that cars are not tech is really narrow-minded. I know cars are cars and tech is tech, but cars are also tech. There's so much
Mhm.
built into them now because
Right,
people
right,
want it.
right, right.
Because a lot of the tech works, and it's what people want in their vehicles. So
It works until it doesn't work, like
until
we've
it
talked
doesn't
about
work,
it.
right? A whole
Right.
nother
Yeah.
podcast. Look up
Well,
episode,
we did it. We
yeah.
did it. All right.
Tune
We're
into
going to take,
podcast number, I forgot which number it was, but yeah, we talked about this exactly.
yeah. We're going to take a quick break and we'll
Okay.
be back in a minute. And we're back. And I used the break to look up. It was Car-Pinionated episode number 99, where we talked about
Wow. Cool.
outdated cars. All right. So if you were Glenn, if you were in Ford's boardroom
Hmm.
and they're coming out with the this EV, whatever they decide to call it, um, what would you say is the next vehicle that they should make after on this platform, uh, after they make a proper mid-sized pickup truck?
Uh, the I get lost in today's term. I think they're calling it a mid-size, but it's not mid-size. It's a larger. The three-row uh, Telluride size
Okay,
vehicle. That not too
right,
big, not too small.
right.
The Volvo XC90 sized, a
Mhm.
good sized car. That I think, and let's try to bring it in at a good price, and try to make it look good in the process. People want to be proud of what they're driving, even if it's something that they're hauling the kids around in.
Mhm.
And I think that's the next car. That's a bread and butter car after the pickup. And if not, then something to replace the Escape that has more interest.
Mhm.
That first little boxy Escape caught a lot of attention. The current Escape, by the way, is not a bad looking car at all.
Oh, I'd look at
They're,
car. Yeah.
they're not that cheap. I don't know
Mm.
if you looked up the cost of a new Escape, but to get it optioned out even remotely the way that you would want to, you're over 30 grand for an
Mm.
Escape. And that's not a lot of money nowadays, but I'm expecting the Escape to be sort of a price leader, and
Mhm.
it certainly isn't. So, and it's a little small by comparison to the other RAV4 class
Mhm.
vehicles, So one of those two would be I think honestly, I think come out with something that has that third row, um, something really utilitarian, really sharp, and if it packs all that new technology and the new way of thinking, great, great. Try to reach for a renaissance, reach for advertise it as that new way of thinking,
Mhm.
without trying to come across like some snarky know-it-all, uh, which some
Yeah,
people do in advertising and I really hate. It's like,
yeah, and I think um, I think um, one of the things about Ford is I give them credit for uh, not reinventing the wheel on their EVs. I mean, they did
Right.
it. They made their platforms
Hmm.
multi-use, and
Right.
yes, there's a kind of a balance to be struck because maybe it's great to have it all new from the wheels up,
Hmm.
but there's also like it sort of eases you into the market. I,
Right.
I think when you look at the Lightning, I think the Lightning is a lot less off-putting
Yes.
than
Yeah.
all the other EV pickup trucks, GM, whatever Dodge has down the road, and things like that. I think the other thing that this new pickup truck has is that it has to be um, I'm not interested in seeing. I'm more interested in seeing essentially what is considered body on frame, and I don't
Mhm.
know if you can do that considering the EV part of it, or it
Right.
just has to be sort of a unibody thing. But I think that if you're going to have those things in that space, it will gain a lot of credibility the more durable you make it.
Right. Right.
Look at the
Absolutely.
durability of the Toyotas, or the Nissan, the Frontier, which has been around forever, but all
Right.
those things. Yeah. But anyway, all right. That's going to wrap it up for this week. We remind you that you can watch old episodes, including episode 99, where we talk about
99.
how to make sure your car, well, you can't make sure, but thinking about electronics and sunsetting of different electronic stuff. Anyway, that's there. And with that, we will see you next time.